There were 5 of us that night. Me, Ben, Ethan, Chloe, and Riley. It was supposed to be just a normal sleepover. Pizza, movies, horror stories. But by the time the sun came up, only 3 of us would walk out of that house. And we would never speak about that night again. It was Ethan's idea. Let's tell real horror stories. We were sitting in his basement, sprawled on sleeping bags and old couches. The lights were dimmed. The air smelled like stale popcorn and dust. I glanced at Chloe. She rolled her eyes. You mean like actual ghost stories? No, Ethan grinned. I mean real horror. Stuff that actually happened. Ben leaned forward. Like what? Ethan hesitated. Then he pulled out his phone. Ever heard of the game Missing Midnight? None of us had. Ethan explained it. It's this urban legend. Some high school kids played it in the 90s, and one of them disappeared. Riley scoffed. Disappeared how? No one knows, Ethan said. She was there 1 second, gone the next. Ben laughed. Bullshit. It's real, Ethan insisted. I read about it online. The cops never found her. They said she ran away. But the kids who were with her that night swore she didn't. Chloe crossed her arms. And you believe that? Ethan shrugged. Maybe, maybe not. But we should play it. I didn't like this. Something about Ethan's tone felt off. Like he wasn't just joking. Like he actually wanted to play. How does it work? Ben asked. Ethan grinned. It's simple. We turn off all the lights. We sit in a circle. And at exactly midnight, we go around and tell the scariest, most messed up story we can think of. That's it. Riley scoffed. What's the point? The point, Ethan said, is that if someone tells a story scary enough, the game becomes real. I laughed. So what? A demon's gonna show up? Not a demon, Ethan said, but something else. We all stared at him. The legend says the game doesn't pick the scariest story. His voice dropped lower. It picks the person who tells it. A beat of silence. Then Chloe rolled her eyes. Okay, yeah, this is dumb. She grabbed her phone. I'm ordering pizza. I exhaled. For a second, I thought Ethan was gonna push it. But instead, he just smiled. Fine, he said. But we're still playing. And we did. And that's when everything started to go wrong. We kept talking, messing around. The pizza showed up. Ethan didn't mention the game again. Not until 11:58. Then he sat up. It's almost time. Ben chuckled. Dude, seriously? Come on, just for fun, Ethan said. No harm, right? No one argued. So we did it. We turned off the lights, sat in a circle, and waited. At exactly midnight, Ethan pulled out his phone. Who wants to go first? The first story. Riley went first. She told some stupid urban legend about a woman who lived in the walls of an old apartment building. It was creepy but nothing special. Then Ben told his. Then Chloe. Then me. Just dumb stories. None of them felt real. None of them felt wrong. Then it was Ethan's turn. And everything changed. This is a true story. His voice was calm, steady. It happened in this town. A long time ago. I shifted. Something about the way he was talking made me uneasy. A girl went missing. A teenager. Just like us. She was last seen leaving a sleepover. No one said a word. Ethan's eyes flickered to mine. You know what the weirdest part was? I swallowed. What? She left her phone behind. A chill ran down my spine. Ethan wasn't looking at me anymore. He was looking at something behind me. I turned fast. Nothing. Just the basement door. Slightly ajar. But I was sure we had closed it. I faced Ethan again. Dude. This isn't funny. He grinned. I'm not joking. Then his phone buzzed. We all looked down. One new message. From an unknown number. 4 words. Who's playing tonight? The room went silent. No one moved. No one spoke. Ethan's grin faded. Who sent that? Riley whispered. Ethan swallowed. I don't know. Chloe grabbed her phone. Checked it. Then her face went pale. She turned her screen toward us. She had the same text. So did Ben. So did Riley. So did I. My heartbeat pounded in my ears. What the hell, Ethan? I hissed. It's not me, he swore. Then who is it? Ben snapped. No answer. Then another text. This time from Ethan's phone. One word. Run. The message stared back at us. No one moved. No one spoke. Ben let out a nervous laugh. Okay, haha. Who did this? Ethan's face was pale. I swear to God. It's not me. Riley snatched his phone. Scrolled through the messages. There's no number, she whispered. It just says, unknown sender. A cold weight settled in my stomach. I checked my own phone. Same thing. There was no contact info. No reply button. Just those two words. Run. Then the basement door creaked. We all snapped our heads toward it. It was open. Rachel's voice was tight. It was closed. I swear it was closed. I got up, marched to the door, and yanked it shut, bolted the lock, turned back to the group. See? It's fine. We're just psyching ourselves out. Ben nodded. Yeah, it's a prank. Probably some app that lets you send anonymous messages. We all wanted to believe that, but I could tell. None of us did. Chloe picked up her phone. I'm gonna call my brother. Just in case. She pressed the button. Put it to her ear. Then she frowned. It's not ringing. She checked the screen. There's no service. Ben scoffed. No way. We all had service 5 minutes ago. But when we checked, none of our phones had signal anymore. The basement felt smaller. The air thicker. Riley grabbed her backpack. I don't care if it's a prank. I'm going upstairs. We all followed. That was our second mistake. We stepped into the hallway. Dim. Too quiet. The house felt different. Not physically. Nothing had moved. Nothing looked wrong. But something felt wrong. Like the walls were listening. Watching. Ethan was gripping his phone so tight his knuckles were white. Maybe we should just go outside. Get some air. We all agreed. Ben was the first to reach the front door. He grabbed the knob. Twisted it. And then his body went rigid. Guys. I stepped beside him. My stomach dropped. The deadbolt was gone. The lock, completely missing. Like it had never been there at all. Chloe backed away. Okay. What the hell is going on? Ben pressed his forehead to the door. It's stuck. I don't get it. It's not locked. But it won't open. I tried yanking it. Tried kicking it. It didn't even budge. Like it had been sealed shut from the outside. Riley's voice cracked. This is a joke, right? Please tell me this is a joke. Ethan turned in slow circles, breathing fast. Windows. Let's check the windows. We ran to the living room. Pulled at the blinds. Rachel gasped. Ben swore under his breath. I just stood there, frozen. Because outside the window, a car was parked across the street. It hadn't been there before. A dark-colored SUV. No lights on. No engine running. But inside, in the driver's seat, a man was sitting there, watching the house. Chloe's voice was barely above a whisper. Who the hell is that? Ben pulled out his phone. Still no service. I turned to Ethan. Do your parents have a landline? His face was pale. He shook his head. They got rid of it last year. Rachel gripped my arm. What if he's the one who texted us? I looked back at the SUV. The man hadn't moved. His hands were on the steering wheel. Not texting. Just watching. Riley took a shaky breath. Screw this. I'm getting out of here. She grabbed her shoes. Started for the back door. Ben and I followed. We reached the kitchen. The back door had a deadbolt. Still there. Still locked. Ben grinned. Finally, something normal. He unlocked it. Pulled the door open. And then, he stopped cold. His face went white. I stepped beside him. And my heart nearly stopped. A second SUV. Parked in the backyard. Headlights off. Engine silent. And inside, another man. Sitting. Waiting. Watching. Ben slammed the door shut. What the hell is this? Ethan was shaking now. I don't know. I don't know. Rachel started pacing. Okay. Think. It's probably just some sick prank. Maybe your parents hired them, Ethan? Maybe this is part of the game. But Ethan was already shaking his head. No. My parents don't even know about this. We all stood there, listening, breathing. The house felt so much smaller now, like the walls were closing in. Then a knock. We all froze. The knock came from the front door. Slow, deliberate, then whispered. No, 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 no. Another knock. Then a voice. A man's voice. Calm. Even. We just want to talk. The knock came again. 3 slow taps. Deliberate. Heavy. We just want to talk. No one moved. No one breathed. Riley was gripping my arm so tight her nails dug into my skin. Ben swallowed. What do we do? Ethan was shaking his head, his breathing sharp and ragged. I don't know. I don't know. Another knock. Then the doorknob turned. I grabbed Ben and yanked him away from the door. Rachel let out a quiet sob. The knob twisted again. Not fast. Not rough. Slow. Testing. Then it stopped. A long pause. Footsteps. Fading. Moving away from the door. Rachel whispered. Are they leaving? I shook my head. No. This wasn't over. Not even close. Ben crept toward the window. Peered through the blinds. His face turned pale. They're still here. We all crowded behind him. The SUV across the street was running now. The brake lights glowed red. The driver was gone. But someone else stood at the edge of the driveway. A tall man wearing a hood. Face hidden in the shadows. Just standing there. Watching. Ben's voice cracked. There's another one. My stomach dropped. A second man was standing in the yard. And then a third. One by one, more figures stepped into the light. Until there were 5. Just standing there. Silent. Waiting. Riley whispered. What do they want? No one answered. Because none of us wanted to know. Rachel grabbed Ethan. Call your parents. Now. He fumbled for his phone. Still no service. He grabbed the laptop from the table. Maybe the Wi-Fi still works. But when he opened it, the screen was already on. And there was a message. Typed in a blank document. Do not call anyone. Rachel gasped. Ethan slammed the laptop shut. This isn't happening. This isn't real. Riley backed toward the kitchen. We need to get out. Now. I turned back to the front door. The men were still standing there. Not moving. Not speaking. Just watching. I had the horrible feeling they were waiting for something. Or someone. Then, a sound from upstairs. A soft creak. Like a footstep. Every hair on my body stood up. Ben spun toward the staircase. Tell me that was one of you. No one moved. No one answered. Because we all knew. We were all standing right here. And whoever just moved upstairs. Wasn't us. Rachel shook her head violently. No. No, that's not possible. Ethan's voice was hoarse. We checked the house. We locked everything. Ben grabbed a kitchen knife. Then explain how someone's up there. Silence. Another footstep. Slow. Deliberate. The floorboards groaned. A shadow moved at the top of the stairs. Riley grabbed my arm. We are not going up there. Another sound. Not a footstep. A faint tapping. Coming from the bathroom upstairs. Like someone was drumming their fingers against the mirror. My blood turned to ice. I didn't want to look. But I couldn't stop myself. I glanced toward the staircase. And at that moment, a figure stepped into view. Couldn't breathe. A person stood at the top of the stairs. Not one of the men from outside. Someone else. A girl. She was barefoot, wearing an oversized hoodie. Face hidden by her hair. She just stood there. Silent. Still. Rachel's voice was barely a whisper. Who is that? The girl tilted her head. Then she started walking down. Step by step. Toward us. Rachel backed away. Who are you? No answer. The girl reached the middle of the staircase. Stopped. Lifted her hand. And pointed. At Ethan. Ben cursed under his breath. Ethan. Who the hell is that? Ethan's face was pure terror. His lips parted. Like he wanted to speak. Then his phone buzzed. We all jumped. He looked down. A new message. Unknown sender. She remembers you. Rachel snatched his phone. What is going on, Ethan? He was shaking, eyes darting from the girl on the stairs to the men outside. I don't know. Ben grabbed his shoulders. Bullshit. I stepped between them. Guys, stop. We need to. Then a new sound. From the basement. Something scraping against the floor. Like a chair moving. My throat went dry. Rachel whispered. Someone's in the basement. Ben swallowed hard. We just came from there. That's not possible. Another scraping sound. Followed by a long, heavy exhale. Like someone standing in the dark. Breathing. Waiting. Then a whisper. Low. Quiet. Almost a laugh. Ethan, you shouldn't have played. No one moved. No one spoke. The girl on the stairs kept pointing. At Ethan. Her face was hidden by her hair. Barefoot. Hoodie too big for her frame. Like she had just walked in from the street. Rachel's breath hitched. Who are you? The girl didn't answer. Didn't even react. She just lowered her arm. Turned. And walked back up the stairs. What the hell was that? Riley whispered. Ben grabbed Ethan's shirt. You better start talking. Ethan was shaking. Eyes locked on the staircase. I don't know. His phone buzzed again. We all flinched. He checked the screen. Another unknown message. Ask her what you did. My stomach twisted. Rachel exhaled. I'm going after her. I grabbed her arm. Are you insane? We can't just let her wander the house. Ben shook his head. She pointed at Ethan, dude. This has something to do with him. Riley's voice was tight. Then let's make him talk. Ethan looked at all of us. Face pale. Sweating. And finally he whispered, I think that was my sister. Silence. Then Rachel stepped back. What do you mean your sister? You said she disappeared. Ethan swallowed hard. She did. Then how the hell is she upstairs? Ben snapped. Ethan shook his head. I don't know. I don't understand any of this. I took a breath. What happened to her, Ethan? He hesitated. Like he didn't want to say it. Like saying it out loud made it real. Then he finally spoke. We played this game 5 years ago. Same rules. Same setup. Me, my sister, and some friends. Except when it was her turn to tell a story. She never finished it. Rachel's voice was hoarse. Why? Ethan's hands were shaking now. Because someone came to the house. Ben cursed under his breath. Riley looked at the front door. At the men standing outside. You're saying this already happened before? Ethan nodded. The texts. The knocking. The cars outside. It all happened before. And by the time the sun came up, she was gone. Rachel covered her mouth. Ben stepped away like Ethan was something contagious. And you thought it was a good idea to play again? Ethan's eyes filled with tears. I just wanted to know what happened to her. My skin crawled. I looked at the staircase. At the empty steps. Then why is she back now? A loud noise from the basement. We all jumped. A deep, groaning sound. Like something heavy being dragged. The air felt different. Rachel grabbed my arm. We are not going down there. Another sound. A click. Then the basement light turned on by itself. A dull, yellow glow spilled up the stairs. And we saw it. At the bottom of the steps. A chair. Bolted to the floor. A pair of metal handcuffs attached to the arms. A dark stain beneath it. Ben whispered. What the hell is that? Ethan's face turned white. That wasn't there before. Riley took a shaky step back. So what? Someone broke in and set up a torture chair. No one had an answer. No one moved. Then Ethan's phone buzzed again. Another message. Sit down. The front doorknob rattled. Slow. Testing. We all froze. The men outside hadn't moved. Still standing. Still watching. Rachel whispered. There's someone inside the house. Ben ran to the kitchen. Grabbed a knife. I followed, grabbing a heavy frying pan. We turned toward the hallway. The whole house was dead silent. Except for the sound of someone breathing. Slow. Deep. Coming from the bathroom. The door was slightly open. The mirror caught the dim glow of the streetlights. And inside, a shape stood behind the shower curtain. Rachel let out a choked sob. I raised the frying pan, stepped forward. My pulse hammered. The shape wasn't moving, just standing there, breathing, waiting, then whispered, "There's no way out of there." I nodded. "Whoever's in there is trapped." I gripped the frying pan tighter, stepped toward the bathtub. Rachel held onto my sleeve. "Jack, don't." But I was already reaching forward. I grabbed the shower curtain and yanked it open. I yanked the shower curtain open. Rachel gasped. Ben tightened his grip on the knife. Ethan took a step back. But there was no one there. The tub was empty. No footprints. No water. Nothing. Just an old hoodie crumpled at the bottom. Rachel whispered, "What the hell is this?" I bent down, picked it up. The fabric was stiff. Dried blood. A name was written inside the collar. Lena. Ethan's face drained of color. Rachel's breath hitched. "That's your sister's name." Ethan nodded, hands trembling. Ben turned back toward the hallway. "I don't get it. If she's not here, then who the hell was on the stairs?" None of us had an answer, but we weren't alone, and we all knew it. Then the power cut out. The house went pitch black. Rachel screamed. Ben cursed. I fumbled for my phone, flashlight on. Dim light flooded the bathroom. Then footsteps. From the living room. Slow. Heavy. Rachel grabbed my arm. "Someone's inside." We moved carefully. Down the hall. Toward the front of the house. The door was still shut. The men were still outside. Watching. But someone was here with us. Rachel whispered, "Do you hear that?" A soft scraping sound. Coming from the kitchen. Like a chair being dragged across the floor. My pulse pounded. I aimed my phone's light and saw her. A girl sat in the middle of the kitchen. Head down. Motionless. Wearing the same hoodie from the bathtub. The air felt wrong. Thick. Heavy. Ben raised the knife. "Who the hell are you?" She didn't answer. Didn't even flinch. Rachel swallowed hard. "Lena." The girl lifted her head. I felt my stomach drop, because I recognized her face. From the missing posters. From the news stories. From the photos Ethan had shown us earlier. It was her. Lena Aldrich. Ethan's missing sister. She looked at him. Expression blank. Empty. Then she spoke. "You left me here." Ethan's breath hitched. No, I didn't. We searched for you." "We." Lena shook her head. "You played the game. You followed the rules. And when it was over, they took me." The air felt suffocating. I turned to Ethan. "Who took you?" His face was pure terror. "I don't know. I don't remember." Lena stood up. "They do." She pointed to the front door. The men outside. Still standing there. Waiting. For us. Rachel grabbed Ethan's arm. "Who are they, Ethan?" His hands shook violently. "I don't know. The same thing happened last time. They showed up, the power cut out, and then..." His breath shuddered. By morning, she was gone. The door unlocked itself. A sharp, metallic click. Rachel let out a choked sob. Ben raised the knife. "We're not going out there." Lena's voice was calm, steady. "You don't have a choice." Then the windows shattered. We hit the floor as glass rained down. Footsteps stormed the house. Shouts. Heavy boots on wood. They were coming for us. Rachel grabbed my arm. "Run!" Ben swung the knife. A grunt. Someone grabbed him. Rachel screamed. I reached for her, yanked away. Ethan was dragged toward the door. I fought. Kicked. Punched. A cloth covered my face. Chemical smell. Burning my lungs. The room spun. Fell sideways. Fell into darkness. Morning. I woke up on the front lawn. The sky was blue. Bright. Sun rising over the houses. The street was normal again. Rachel lay next to me. Eyes wide open. Unmoving. I shook her. "Rachel? Rachel!" She gasped. Sat up. Looked around. "Where's Ben? Where's Ethan?" My stomach sank. Because Ethan was gone. And so was Lena. The house was empty. Furniture still there. No sign of struggle. No broken windows. Just quiet. Stillness. Like nothing ever happened. Ben was in the kitchen, sitting at the table, staring at his phone. I stepped forward. Ben. He didn't look at me, just turned the screen around. A new message, from an unknown number. 3 words. See you soon.